like I say, there are people who are builders and creators and leaders of country, and are people like me, and are very much real and loving and caring, and basically the kinds of people that says it's okay, they're not going to hurt you anymore. Um, and and basically keeps the psychopaths away, and actually has done everything that I could do to protect and love and build and care about people, and found all these different ways of making money, of farming, using steam power and steam cables, and and heat and fire to cook what is clay into rock. Like I said, if you take a bunch of clay, there's the Thames or whatever, someplace in London where they think it's stone walls, and what it actually is it's river mud, very fine river mud. You take it and you press it into a mold, and maybe even vacuum it out, vacuum the water out. A lot of times, if you take just clay or just silt, and you actually suck the water out of it, you apply a vacuum to it, and you press down really hard, what you'll get is you'll get a very densely packed soil. Without, see, water and air, it basically creates this vacuum. You can either steam out the water, that's one way of doing it, or you can vacuum out the water. But either way, you got to get the water and the air out of it, and you got to press down really hard. Vacuuming is really good because it keeps the moisture in there, and yet it gets out all the excess moisture. So uh, you might be able to vacuum. There's a lot of things with vacuum that you can do to actually create stone, where it doesn't actually create like a dry stone. I think you need heat though. I don't know. We were doing this weird stuff where we're using vacuum or heat and pressure to create like these bricks. It's just river mud. That's all it is. It's just river mud that they take it, they cut it, they into this form, then they press and use heat. I think they use an iron. There's this bottom iron or something, and they use heat and then pressure, and what we were creating is these big like blocks of basically pretty much it's just river clay, and then we used it to line this channel. We basically dug the channel, just line cut it or whatever, and then just cook the clay or whatever, or press the clay pretty much. I think we loaded it up maybe. Yeah, we dug the whole channel out of this clay material, and then we basically went and we used heat and pressure and pressed these blocks and basically made what is brick pretty much. And then we lined the whole thing, and people go back and they look at it and they say, yeah, the stone carvers carved all this stuff. It's like, it wasn't carved stone. No, we used heat and pressure, and we basically cooked a bunch of clay or river clay into basically these bricks, and then we lined the channel with this hard cooked block or brick, and it looks just like stone, or it resembles stone basically, and then it functions as a waterway. And it silts up every now and then, as it originally did. But we went through and we made all these different things. It was back in the day, back a couple hundred years ago, where it was me in Germany. We'd used a lot of heat and stuff. I did a lot of water power, using electricity to make the stuff, and we also used a lot of coal. We used a lot of coal at first, and then later on we used electricity to basically cook all these blocks together. Basically you slice the river clay, or scoop the river clay up into cars. You truck it to the factory, and it goes into a big hopper, and then they make the form, and then and when you get these, we made these big blocks, these big red blocks or whatever, out of the river clay. And then we ship it back, and then they line the channel with these blocks. And most people said, it's not even going to last a year, because it was just clay. It was a silt that was cooked, um, and pressed or vacuum pressed or whatever, and then they lined the channel with it, and then for 80 or 100 years, it functioned just fine. Great. They still clean it out. Anyway, usually I'd have a water mill or something like that. Usually I'd line channel, and then I'd have a big paddle wheel, and it'd be going, and then it would be running a belt, and then that belt would be running like a textile or something. Because paddle wheels turn at a nice slow rate to run the belts. Because if you try and run the belts too fast, they slip, and And basically, I mean, it's just a leather belt. It's just cow hides that are taken and cleaned and then sewn together, and then it runs the belt, and then the belt runs the textiles. And then you put in the cotton and stuff on one side, and you get threads or clothing on the other side, or huge sheets of whatever you want. And I'm LS Lusifer Star, builder, purveyor, creator of towns, cities, waterways, and textiles, and lots of different designs. And was basically the richest, most powerful person on earth. And very well loved and cared about. Many people hailed me as the best and greatest person that paid the highest and fed the most and believed in the future the most. And like I said, the funny truth was that I was the creator of 12 races and humanity and everything else. Like, of course I'm going to be, like I would say to the people, I'd say, well, I'm 100 trillion years old. I am your real and actual creator. And of course I'm going to be nice and loving and caring. Like, why would I be anything else? You're my children. You're my life forms. I genetically created you. I'm your master. I'm your leader. I'm the one that taught you from millions and trillions of years ago, since you were first on this earth, how to do things. Like, it's just other people were doing it on my behalf. So you didn't actually ever see me or know me, but I was out there. And that ship, the LSFA rocket ship with the big, huge wings, the big 747 wings that were longer, made out of titanium, that was me leaving many years ago. So I went to space, and basically I've done 500 deep space runs. Like, I have the highest record for deep galactic space travel. The nice slow way on those slow planetary ships. Like I said, we used to use the engines for the SF. The LSF, whatever, spaceships. They were 30 feet across. They were 30 feet or 60 feet. I think they were 60 feet. They're 60 feet from it showed them, actually. There's pictures of them. They're like 60 or 80 feet across. They're the size of a house. They're the size of a building. Like, you could put a door in one and walk in and look around, and you could look up, and there's even pictures of this little German scientist looking up at the big engine. They're 80 feet across or something, or 70 feet across. They're huge engines. There's 4 of them for my spaceship. But and once we were in orbit, they sent up fuel and refueled us, and then get ready! Yeah! Gravitational sling! Yeah! Now, yeah. I loved it. Titanium hull. Super light. As light as it could possibly be, and as strong as it could possibly be. The engines were 80 feet or 70 feet across. I forget. That hole was like 360 or 480 feet across. They had a problem actually getting from one side to the other side. They'd go, and then they built the engines. They took the engines in. I think they built the engines up first, and then they. Anyway, it was big, long, huge. It was 180 years to build the LSFA rocket ship. I think it had 4 engines, or 3 engines, or 4 engines, 80 feet across, or 70 feet across. They were huge amounts of thrust, and they used water and alcohol. The water would vaporize and then turn into air. Well, the water, when it comes out into space, it vaporizes anyway, and then you apply alcohol. I think the water would get injected, and the vacuum turns it into air, and then the spray bars spray alcohol out, and then and then it goes, yeah. In space, you can do some cool things. So that was my spaceship.